morning, everyone. This is Chantal, and today we are talking about something that I truly believe is possible, which is to turn powerlessness into power. So, how do we do this? Is the question. So, the first thing is to really acknowledge that we do feel powerless. And how do we know? Usually, we have a physical sensation that goes with powerlessness. Something hits us in a solar plexus. So an event can happen, and all of a sudden we feel like we have been depleted completely in our belly. And almost like somebody took a straw and drew the energy or life force out of our solar plexus. So that could be one manifestation. Another one is that our head is spinning. We're thinking and overthinking and overthinking. Our mind is swirling around. Another manifestation of that could be that we are unable to focus. Again, the mind is completely unplugged. So, powerlessness is a feeling that affects our entire being, and it's an emotional feeling, and at first it manifests physically. So, all our emotions actually do have an impact on our physical body. And most of the time, if you have been if you have had adverse childhood experiences, if you went through childhood experiences that were very challenging, where no one was there to help you hold the emotional charge of what you're going through, that's what you actually do when you are faced with a challenge later on in life. You react the same way unless you did some work, personal growth work, mindfulness work. You will not be able to recognize that your immediate reaction may be a very ancient reaction, like a childhood based reaction. So there are three ways that we react when we're children and there are adverse experiences facing us. One is to have what's called the fight response. We gear up and fight back. One is to have the flight response. We pretend and run away that things are not happening. And then we have the freeze response, which means we completely get numb. Either one of those three reactions can happen when you're faced with a challenge later in life. So that feeling of powerlessness is actually what happens. We feel like we got hit in the solar plexus, and then we do have a reaction. So number one is to recognize that you're having a reaction. And most of us as adults, especially if you have had adverse childhood experiences, will use our mind to bypass our reaction. We deny having a reaction. And in doing so, we are actually adding insult to injury. So the first thing you can do is to really admit to yourself something just happened. I feel like I got hit and I'm having a reaction. I feel depleted. I feel overpowered. I feel overwhelmed. These are some words that can come. So, number one is recognize that you have been having a reaction. Number two is to pause. Why is it important to pause? Is that you're changing, you're becoming aware, and you're changing maybe your default reaction. So, pausing may not happen immediately. Pausing may happen later. Sometimes things happen and they happen so fast that we don't have the time in a current situation. Let's say we're surrounded with people and we have to continue. We don't have time to pause. And yet, pausing will give you the choice to change your reaction. So it could be later during the day, it could be at the end of the day, it could be when you go for a walk by yourself, it could be writing in a journal, it could be talking to someone. But basically, you need to pause and say, I feel overpowered. I feel powerless in regards to this situation. So, number two is to admit to yourself. First, you recognize you have a reaction, then you admit the reality. Number three is literally making room and embracing yourself. And what I mean by that is holding a reaction, as in you were holding a child, as in you were holding a pet, as in you were holding anything that feels scared. Because let's face it, powerlessness is fear. Feeling powerless, overpowered, is a fear reaction. We feel like something bigger than us and our ability to cope is in front of us. So if you take some deep breath, and that's what holding means, it means you have a body, you have in your body space to hold without judging. And that is important because your mind has to be set aside. And you take some deep breath, you ground yourself through your breath, through your feet, through your sits bones. Either you're sitting, either you're standing, either way you have to find yourself. You have to find yourself back into your body, physical body. So you take some deep breath, you exhale, and you tell yourself, it's okay. It's okay right now. It's okay. You can repeat words that make you feel safer, such as I am here, I am held, I am holding, I am breathing, I am safe, I am supported. So that's step number 3, is create a container for you to have your own experience and begin shifting from that feeling of powerlessness, which means fear, into something more like I am present to this moment, to this sensation. As soon as you do this, something is shifting inside your neurobiology. So, adverse childhood experiences leave a trail in your nervous system. Mind, body, neurons connecting to back stories and memories leave an imprint in your nervous system. So when you do that step number 3, which is to hold and create a container for your experience to be, you're creating a new connection to who you are in this moment. And by doing so, you are regaining your power. So that's number 3. Number 4, as you start calming down your nervous system, you're then able to readjust to this new reality. You are no longer a child, and I'm not saying this as a diminishing statement. You're no longer a child having been overpowered. You're now someone who's a grown-up and has abilities, capabilities. Being able to is what capable means. So you're capable of saying, I need or want something in this situation. The person in front of me or the situation in front of me does not have the power to hold me back. So then you go into, what is it that I want? What's missing? What doesn't feel right? These are words that you basically ask yourself that help you know how to dig in a little deeper to find the answer. So number 4 is to find out what you need or want. And number 5 is to go for it. Ask for what you want and need. Now between step 4 and 5, there could be what we call a little bit of resistance. You may hit a place of disbelief inside of you. So you may say, well, in this situation, I really want, I don't know, I want more money, or I want more success, or I want more love, or I want more intimacy, or I want more, whatever that is. And immediately you can have a voice in your head that fights back and says, nah, you will not get this. It's impossible. And then we're back into the feeling of powerlessness. Now that voice inside your head is called many things. Sometimes it's called the inner critic. It could be called a gremlin. It could be called a saboteur. It could be called other words that have been used in psychology and coaching. But it is literally a voice in your head that is not to this current reality. Now we're back again in our childhood, where we endorsed a way of talking to ourselves that kept us small and safe. So that voice is actually trying to make you believe that you cannot be bigger than your bridges. It makes you believe that if you start expanding beyond who you are now, It will not happen. You will get hurt. So when that voice shows up, you need to again take a deep breath, go back to step one, recognize that this is happening, locate it in your body, hold it, and talk to it. And say, I am okay now. I am safe. I have resources. I am capable. We together are capable. And ask this voice, what do you need from me right now? Why are you trying to keep me so small? And then maybe this voice needs something that needs to be heard as well. So between step 4 and 5, where you basically assess your needs, assess your wants, and take that step and ask for what you want, you may have a little bit of pushback. So 5 steps, and I would say 5.5 steps. Next week, I will talk about how to deal with that inner critic, inner voice, that the one that keeps you small or wants to keep you safe. But for today, I simply want to invite you because your health and your wellness depends on it. It depends on you having and embracing the belief that you have the power to change your reality. The reality in your physical body, the reality in your emotional body, the reality in your mental body, and the reality in your spiritual body. So let me know what you're thinking. Post comments and feel free to share with other people. I am very dedicated and committed to sharing with you tools that I have applied myself. I have been diagnosed twice with breast cancer. I have had many adverse childhood experiences. Go back to the ACE study, ACE study. Take the test, take the quiz. 10 questions, simple. And you will see where you score. And in the meantime, I hope that you have a great week. And I hope to talk to you again next week at 11 o'clock on Wednesday, Wellness and Wisdom. Have a great day. Let's see what we're doing here. We are moving on. Sorry, Facebook is always interesting that way, you know. All right, so have a great week.